Hi there, I'm Phil today. I am a school psychologist and a family therapist, and I want to show you a very quick, simple, easy way to check in with students at the beginning of the day or at the beginning of a lesson or anytime. And we're going to call this particular way of going about doing this checking in for living and learning. That's what I call it. You can call it whatever you want. So here is how you would proceed with this. I'm going to share my screen with you. And now you'll see the title. Any way you want to say it's fine. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to say something like, yeah, let me show you my point of view. Or is it okay if I show you? Everybody always says yes. And then you're going to start with this question right here, which is who is important to you? Okay, just start right there with that question. And the wrinkle here is you're going to have this diagram up somewhere. Now you can do this online. You can do this in person. It works great either way. Use an online whiteboard or a whiteboard in your classroom, a smart board. So you draw those two cross lines, and in the lower right-hand corner, you're going to have that question, who's important to you? So as we go through this particular diagram, we're going to call it a check-in, right? So we're checking in. First question, who's important to you? So let's say I go first. So for me, I would say that my wife is important to me, okay? Or kids. And so who's important to you? Well, they're going to say mom, dad, friends, stuff like that. They may also tell you about what's important to them. You could also have a conversation about that too. Oh, so I like to play video games. Oh, terrific. All right, put that down. So whatever they say, we're just going to write down here video games. All right. You could say you're the teacher, and you could say that teaching is important to you. They may even say that learning is important to them. Okay. Then you get them all kind of weighing in. And it's a nice, easy way to get this conversation started, which is exactly what you're trying to do. So then the next thing you're going to want to do is say, hey, but sometimes you might notice that yucky stuff shows up on the inside of you, like stuff you don't want, like uncomfortable thoughts and feelings. And I always like to use the example of something like fear could show up inside of you. So over here in this lower left-hand quadrant, I would just write the word fear so they kind of know what you're talking about. So stuff like fear, anybody noticing like yucky stuff like fear showing up inside of them? And then you're going to get responses. So someone might say something that I've heard over the years, very popular, is tired could be showing up inside of them. They could be anxious, and we're going to write that down. Oh, okay, anxious is showing up. All right, fine. Someone might be feeling sad, summer's over or something like that. Someone could even say, well, they're bored. And I would say, all right, so you're noticing that how you have that bored feeling showing up inside of you. And you just write down what they're saying just like that. So the next thing we're going to do is you're going to travel up to the upper left, and I'm going to say something like, well, like when that yucky stuff shows up on the inside of you, we might see you do something on the outside to kind of get away from it or to get some relief from it. So, for example, fear might show up inside of someone. Let's say that there's a dog chasing you. So fear shows up inside of you, and what are you going to do? Then you might pause. And then I would say, well, probably running might be a good thing to do. And that just kind of happens automatically to get away from that fear stuff, right? So if tired were showing up inside of somebody, what might they do to move away from that uncomfortable feeling of being tired? Well, okay, so one of the things they could do is they could put their head down, put head down. I would just write that down if they said that. Someone's anxious. Well, someone's anxious. Oh boy, they could leave, right? Someone could actually just leave that situation. Have anxiety. I got to get out of here. Sad, for example. Well, that's pretty, thing that most people might do if sad shows up is they might like cry to relieve their feelings of sadness. Bored. Okay, so bored. All right, so here's something you probably have seen in your classroom. They might go to their phone, right? Or they might click you off if you're online. Stuff like that. This is just stuff that we do. Anybody, we can see anybody do to move away from uncomfortable stuff. So the next question that we're going to ask is, well, what do you want to do to keep moving toward those important people that you just mentioned over there in the lower right? So up here in the upper right, we're going to put the things that you're going to do. So, if I'm online, for example, or I'm in class, and my wife's not with me, I might say, well, I could text my wife at some point during a school day. For kids, something that you might want to do with your kids is you could just do something very simple like play with kids. Friends, what might they do to move toward their friends? Well, they're probably going to say something like, play, here's those video games again, play video games, right? And you just write it down just like that. And then for teaching and for learning, we're going to be identifying things. And you could already say, hey, you've done something important already today, which is you have done this very cool thing, which is called oop, show up. Apologies for my writing there. You've all shown up. So now what we've done, we've just done like a loop. We've done a quick little check-in, which works very nicely to get people, just kind of on board a little bit. And then you might say something like, after we've gone through those questions, the yucky stuff that shows up inside of you, and what you do to move away from your yucky stuff, and what you can do to move toward who and what's important to you. Now you could say, hey, what we've been doing here, we've just been sitting here and just simply noticing. We have been noticing about who's important to us, been noticing about some of that yucky stuff that might show up, noticing things that we might do to move away from yucky stuff, and noticing things that we might do to move toward. And hey, do you think we might have an opportunity to notice some of this stuff as we go through our A lesson or B day? What do you think? Okay, so now what you've done, you've tied it all together with this thing called noticing, which is just really being aware of stuff without putting any judgments of right or wrong on it. We're just sitting back and we're noticing. And we're noticing things that could be happening up there in the social world of actions. And we're also noticing things that could be showing up in the emotional world of the mind. And what you've done here is we've just started to give your students a tool that they can use. Like a tool is something simple. So the first thing when you hand somebody a tool is you want to show them how to use it. So here we just showed them how we can use this diagram. It can use it for lots of things, like a hammer or a screwdriver. You can use this diagram for lots of things. It works great for checking in anytime during the day. And you might even be asking now, well, what's this all for? Well, what it's for is for something called psychological flexibility. And what psychological flexibility is the ability to do this stuff up here, to keep doing the stuff that you want to do to move toward, even when this yucky stuff here shows up, because you can't stop it from showing up. We have stuff down here that's important to us. As we move toward that stuff, we may notice that yucky stuff shows up. We could go up here and do some of these away moves, but at the end of the day, if we can learn how to take this stuff with us and keep doing things, even with the tired and the bored and all that kind of stuff, things will probably work out better. Now, you don't need to tell them all of that. I'm telling you that because that's what this diagram is for. It's for psychological flexibility. So to end, I'm just going to give you the definition right here. And that's really just the ability to notice, back up, take perspective, and then choose actions that are going to work to get you where you want to go, even when that yucky feeling stuff shows up. So there's a quick little explanation video about a check-in that you could try. Please do try it. You can look down below. There's other training that I have on my site. If you want to get in contact with me, I would love to hear from you. And I hope this helps. And please have a good, safe school year. Take care.